Hi, everyone. My name's Anthony Ruggiano, and in 1988, I was struggling with addiction, and I went into a treatment center. I set up a helpline number, which is 855-963-2113. That's 855-963-2113. That number, phones will be manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're struggling with addiction, or you know someone that is struggling with addiction, please call that number and let me help. I will be hands-on. I will be personally involved in the person's recovery. They will meet me. They will spend time with me, and I will help them live a life beyond their wildest dreams. So please, if you know anybody that has a problem with addiction, or you yourself have a problem with addiction, please call that number and let me help. And also help their family members or friends. Please call that number, 855-963-2113. That's 855-963-2113. So an A cream is the best. So an A cream is Fox. You have to have Fox chocolate syrup. That's number one. Fox chocolate syrup, you got to have old-fashioned seltzer, not club soda, seltzer from the Seltzer Man. Remember the Seltzer Man? And a little milk. And you put the cream in, and you put the seltzer in, and then you put the milk in, and then you stir it up, and it has a little foam on top. That's an A cream. When I was a kid, there was a candy store in Ozone Park that this guy, David Katz, owned. He was a Holocaust survivor. This guy, I mean, he had the tattoos. He had a smashed in nose. He told me from the Germans hitting him in the nose because he was in work camps. And he used to tell me every morning when I wake up to kiss the ground and thank God I was born in this country. But the best is he used to tell me when I used to go in, he said, Dave, make me an A cream. He used to go, I'm going to make you the best A cream you ever had. And he did. He made the best A creams. You know, and you can't even get them no more. I mean, you could get them now in Katz Deli, where they filmed Where Harry Met Sally, where she had the orgasm in the restaurant. There's actually a sign over that table. This is where Sally had an orgasm. So, and tourists go there to sit at that table. They still make A creams. They cost about $15 now. When I was a kid, they were 10 cents, but you could get an A cream in there. It's a whole different world out there now. I mean, that was such a pleasure to go get an A cream in the candy store or the drugstore. The drugstores had fountains back then. Woolworths had fountains back then. That was my favorite lunch. My favorite lunch when I was a little kid, my grandmother used to take me to Woolworths in City Line, or they used to call it the 5 and 10 store, but it was a Woolworths. And they had a luncheonette counter in Woolworths in the back. And we used to go there, and my grandmother used to get me an A cream and a grilled cheese sandwich. That was like such a treat when I was a little kid to go there and then ride on the horse outside for a nickel. The horse, that was like, my God, I was in Disney World. My grandfather was a milkman. My grandfather worked for Sheffield Farms every night. My grandfather came home every night with a bottle of ice cold milk, fresh milk in a glass bottle, a Daily News, and a loaf of Italian bread every night. And he used to come home, and he would take the cardboard cap off the milk and let me lick it because there was cream on it. It used to get cream, and I would lick the cap, the cardboard thing that was in the milk bottle. People had the milk boxes in front of their houses. The fish man used to come around with the push cart. The fruit man used to come around. The seltzer man, the guy that used to sharpen the knives and everything, he would come around. It's a whole. The filler brush man used to come around, sell stuff. I mean, it's all gone. I mean, it's really tragic. I mean, I think it's tragic. I mean, you had the insurance man used to come to your house and sell you insurance. My mother had an insurance guy for 30 years. The same guy used to come to the house. I mean, it's just a different world now. And it's funny because the insurance man always used to want to sell my mother life insurance on my father. And my father used to tell her, no, I'm not going to get life insurance. And he used to go, what do you mean? Why? You got to get life insurance. You got to get life insurance. So finally, my father goes, all right, you know what? Tell them we want life insurance. So she told the insurance man that she wanted to buy life insurance on my father. She took down all the information and then he left. And I don't know, about a couple of weeks later, he came back and he told me, oh, that Jenny, I can't get life insurance for your husband. He's on a special list that they won't sell him life insurance. They won't give him life insurance because he was in the mob. So I've been looking, I have my podcast, Reform Gangsters, and I talk about my life and my experiences and things I was involved in. And, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of other podcasts. Some are really good, some aren't. Some are really truthful, some aren't. And, so I listen to them all. I try to keep my opinions to myself. But sometimes I hear some that just say things about me that not true. Not my character. It hasn't to do with my character, because you can say anything you want about me. I mean, I know what I did. I know what I was. I know what I am today. It's about experiences of mine. There's one guy out there now, I don't want to mention his name because I don't want to give him a platform, but he'll know who I am because he listens to everything I say. According to what he says, I'm his main topic now, and he's been studying me. so he'll know who he is. Many years ago, there was murders at the Shamrock Bar on Jamaica Avenue. I wasn't involved in the actual shootings. So this fella now talked about the Shamrock Murders and about the part I played in it, and he's sort of disparaging, like saying that John Gotti would have never talked to me like that. Like, it doesn't bother me, but when people never did a day in prison or never busted a grape, for that matter, talk about me and Michael, Francis, and Sammy the Bull and Johnny A. Light, and even my cousin Gene and Mikey Scars. When people talk about us and try to belittle us or make us out to be liars, I know we shouldn't go after them because, who really cares? But, most of the time it's people that never did anything. Like, they never walked in our shoes. They don't know us from a hole in the wall. They don't know what our life was about, how we were raised, what we did. They don't know nothing. They just assume things and take things out of context. Well, anyway, so getting back to the Shamrock Murders, because that's what this fellow was talking about. And for those out there who tell secondhand stories, this is what really happened. And, so the Shamrock Murders was a terrible thing. So what happened was, we had a fella with us on record with my father named Frankie Geese. He was a younger fella. He was a little younger than me. And his father, Frankie Geese Sr., was my father. He was a big Shylock. He had passed away of a heart attack. And we inherited his son, Frankie Jr., who was also a Shylock, a big Shylock. He had a big Shylock business, which my brother and I were partners on. And we invested with him $10,000. We put up $20,000 and we had it in the street. And he was taking care of it. We were earning money with him. So to make a long story short, one night, he was a big drinker. He was a bad drinker. He went to the Shamrock Bar to meet his girlfriend, and he had an argument with somebody, spilled a drink on him. One of the patrons of the bar spilled a drink on him. What he did was he left the bar and he went to Jojo Carrazza, who became the consigliere of the Gambino family's club. Not to where I was at the Polish bar, but to this club. And in the club, there was this guy, Bobby Glasses, who later became a captain in the Gambino family, and Ronnie, whose nickname was Ronnie the Jew. They were in there. We were all good friends because at one time, we were all on record with my father and Tony Lee until Nicky and Lenny and Jojo and them started getting straightened out. And then the crew split up. But Frankie Geese was on record with us, and they were on record with Nicky Carrazza, but we were all friends because we all grew up together. And at one time, we were all around my father and Tony Lee. So he went there because he was good friends with them. And he told them what happened. And they got guns. The three of them got guns. And they went back to the Shamrock Bar and they cold-bloodedly murdered the bartender who was the owner of the Shamrock Bar and the guy that spilled the drink on Frankie. They went in there and they just blasted them and cold-bloodedly murdered them. After the murders, Ronnie and Bobby Glasses went somewhere, but Frankie Geese came to where I was. It was called the Polish Hall, the Polish National Hall. We hung out there. I'm standing outside the bar, and who pulls up in the car? Frankie Geese gets out. He's all razzled. He's got blood on him. And I tell him what happened. He goes, Ronnie, and Bobby Glasses just clipped 2 people in the Shamrock Bar. And I said, you just clipped and you came here to me? What are you, crazy? Right? So I get him inside. I get him down in the basement where the bathroom is. He cleans himself up and he tells me, he goes, listen, Linda Gotti was there. I said, Linda Gotti was there. Now, Linda Gotti is Pete Gotti's daughter, who's John Gotti's niece. See, the guy that talked about this, he left that little tidbit out. Because what happened was Linda Gotti identified the shooters to the police, which, you know, listen, she's a girl. She's probably her friend. She knew them. They were her friends. I don't say she did anything wrong, you know, because she's a woman and she's razzled. She just saw 2 people get cold-bloodedly murdered. She knew them. They were her friends. Of course, she gave a description to the cops. Who wouldn't in her position, right? So I'm not saying she did something wrong or she's a bad person. You know, I don't blame her for that. You know, I feel sorry for her. Now, we take Frankie, we get rid of his car, we take Frankie to a hotel by Kennedy Airport to hide for the night. We take him, we check him in, and we leave. The next morning, I call up the hotel, he's gone. Now, the Gottis are going crazy because Linda gave a statement. Now they're mortified. She's a Gotti. She gave a statement. Cops are looking for now. The cops are looking for Bobby, Frankie, and all these people, right? That afternoon or the next day in the Polish bar, we're in the Polish bar, and my father's there with Tony Lee. I'm there with a couple of my friends, and they have a sit down. Who comes to the sit down? My father, Tony Lee, John Gotti, who wasn't the boss at the time, Pete Gotti, Jeannie Gotti, Angelo Quack, and Johnny Koenig. Now there's 7 wise guys there, all killers. And they're there, they're in the corner, and I'm at the other end of the bar, and they're all talking, right? All of a sudden, my father calls me over. Not John Gotti didn't call me, because the guy that telling the story said John Gotti asked me. John Gotti didn't ask me. My father calls me over. And I walk over and I go, yeah, what's up? And he goes, Frankie Geesh gotta go. Frankie Geesh gotta go. All right, what's happening? So he says, this is what we're gonna do. Being that you're partners with him in the Shylock business, we're gonna contact his mother and tell his mother to get a message to him for him to meet you by the Lindenwood Diner. And you're gonna get in the car with him and you're gonna drive him around the back of the Lindenwood Diner, and we're gonna clip him behind the Lindenwood Diner. So now a couple of days later, it's all set up. He's supposed to meet us by the Lindenwood Diner. They got word to him, however they got word to him. I think my father went to see his mother. And in the meantime, they're fixing now to get Linda retracts her statement, Sarial, whatever. Now they're going to the police. The statements disappear. They get to the cops. Everything disappears. The evidence disappears. Linda's statement disappears. Now, Frankie's got to get killed because Frankie did a horrible thing. They killed 2 innocent, legitimate people, which wasn't a mob-sanctioned hit. They weren't mobbed up. It was a drunken thing. He was a bad drunk. He was a fucking troublemaker. They decide he's got to get killed. Now, the day comes that he's supposed to get killed. I'm standing in front of the Lindenwood Diner. Of course, I'm nervous. I'm standing there. Jeannie and Johnny Koenig are behind the diner, waiting till they're going to kill him. When I drive around the diner with him, Boulevard, I'm standing there, and a Cadillac pulls up. I look in. Who's in the Cadillac? His uncle. How do I know it's his uncle? Because he looks just like them. The 3 of them look the same. The uncle, the father, and Frankie Geesh Jr., the same face, like twins. The uncle is the knockaround guy from the Bronx. I see him. He says, Anthony, yeah. He goes, I'm Frankie's uncle. Yeah, I know. He goes, get in the car. I get in the car. And the first words out of his mouth are, he looks at me and he goes, my nephew's not coming. He goes, you think I'm going to let you kill my nephew? So now I got to play it off, right? I go, listen, I don't know what you're talking about. Kill your nephew's my friend. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, well, what do you need? I go, all me and my brother want back is our initial investment. We don't know who the Shylock customers are. We put up $20,000. We just want our money back. You know, I don't know none of the customers to go collect the money. He says, tell your father I'm going to send you the money and tell your father that from now on, I'm going to take care of my nephew. You don't have nothing to do with my nephew anymore. I'll take care of it from here on in. And after that, I never saw his uncle again, and I never saw Frankie Geesh again, ever again. They sent us the money, and I never saw Frankie Geesh again. Years and years later, Frankie Geesh got arrested in Florida by the marshals. And throughout all the years, Bobby got arrested. He beat the case. Frankie got arrested. He beat the case because the witnesses changed their stories, because Ronnie One Arm got to some of the witnesses and they changed their stories. And Linda's recanted her statement, and her statements disappeared off the face, were actually stolen from the police department. Whatever copies, whatever 302s there were, disappeared. So they beat the case. Years and years later, the FBI, Frankie Geesh died. The only one that was never charged with the murders, I believe, is Ronnie. Bobby Glasses got charged with a RICO because he got on the commission of the Gambino crime family. He got on the commission with the Gambinos, and he was indicted for a RICO, and those murders were part of the RICO, because what happened was I cooperated, so they had me, they had my testimony, and the people that originally were eyewitnesses, that Ronnie One Arm, got to change their testimony, cooperated, and actually said what Ronnie One Arm did. So they changed, and everybody's told the truth at that point, and Bobby got convicted for the 2 murders and died in prison. So that's what happened with the Shamrock murders. John Gotti never told me nothing. He was there, I was part of the murder conspiracy, which I pleaded guilty to, because people have to understand, when people cooperate, when you cooperate with the government, you sign a cooperation agreement. That's like a binding contract. If you get caught in one lie, you violate that contract, and whatever sentence whatever the max is that you could get, that's what you get. So for me to lie or make stuff up, first of all, why would I make something like that up? If I got caught in a lie, or any kind of lie, I would have violated my contract, and I would have got life in prison. So what would be the point? Now, I'm not saying everybody tells the truth. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? But to the best of my ability, or the best of my recollection, I did tell the truth when I testified. And as far as me cooperating, I said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. That was the roughest, toughest decision I ever made in my life. It still haunts me sometimes, that decision I made. I still get emotional, because it went against everything I was ever taught, everything I ever believed in. So that's what happened. That's the Shamrock Bar stories. Anybody else want to say anything about me, or, say stories I was involved in, or whatever, contact me, contact me through reformgangsters.com or anthonyruggianojr.com. I'm easy to reach, or my helpline. I have plenty of ways to contact me. If you want to come on my show, you're more than welcome to come on Reform Gangsters and debate me and talk to me person to person, face to face. I like gentlemen. I'm not one of them rah guys. You know what I mean? Like, we could have a civil conversation. So anybody out there has an open invitation to contact me and come on my show. It'd be my pleasure. We'll have a good time. The first step is to get detoxed, to get medically cleared. That's 7 to 14 days. That's the first step. After the detox, you're going to come into what they call a PHP program. That's called Partial Hospitalization Program. That's usually 28 to 32 days, 31 days. What's going to happen in that 30 days, we'll keep it at 30 days. It makes it easier. What's going to happen within those 30 days is you're going to get introduced to a therapist. You're going to get introduced to group therapy. You're going to socialize with other addicts that are in the facility. You're going to have one-on-one sessions with your therapist. They're going to dig deep, get into your, childhood, what makes us hate ourselves, why we're the only people on earth that wake up and inject ourselves every day with poison. Normal people don't do that. You know what I mean? Addicts do, alcoholics do. You're going to go to groups, which are, going to be topics, about life skills and, of course, and recovery. And you're going to get some tools. You're going to go at night. They're going to take you to 12-step meetings, Narcotics Anonymous meetings, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. And what they're going to do there is they're going to teach you how to stay clean, what to do, what triggers, when triggers come up that make you want to use, how to handle them. And you're going to, it's like this. It's like you're going to go in there with a toolbox that's empty, and you're going to get and they're going to fill your toolbox up with recovery tools about how not to use, because addicts and alcoholics know how to get high. We're experts at that. We don't know how to stay clean and sober. I didn't in any way. You know what I mean? The treatment center I went to saved my life, because they introduced me to recovery. I didn't know anything about recovery. I didn't know anything about how to stay clean. I didn't know anything. The treatment center there introduced me to recovery, and that's what happens at a treatment center. They introduce you to recovery. They give you the tools to stay clean, and then it's all up to you. You could have all the tools in the world, but you still have to make a decision not to get high. And it still comes down to don't use no matter what. You know what I mean? Like, because the storms are going to come. The storms are going to come, and the treatment center is going to teach you how to navigate through the storm without sinking. Hi, my name is Anthony Ruggiano Jr., and I'm looking for people that want to get clean and sober. So please, if you're willing, call my recovery helpline at 855-963-2113. And if you have any clean and sober stories that you would like to share with us, please contact me through my email, which is anthonyruggianojr@gmail.com. And on my next Reformed Gangsters, the topic's going to be Tommy Bilotti, the unknown and forgotten victim of the Paul Castellano assassination.